Jared Polin Fronos Photo.com, and welcome to a special edition of RAWtalk, where it's just me talking raw because it's Thanksgiving this morning. Currently, when I'm recording this, it's 11:22. No, correction, 11:23 a.m. on November 28th, 2024. Well, that's very reminiscent of the Daily Fro, where I used to sit down and just say whatever the hell I wanted to the microphone, and like 10,000 people would listen every day. I always think about doing that stuff again, but then I think like you'll probably upset people or overdo it. I don't know, but there was 10,000 people that would listen. I like sitting down and talking about my day. It's kind of therapeutic. I think that's why I started it in the first place. One of the reasons I started it was there was this Daily Stoic. Ryan Holiday had this journaling thing, and I bought the book thinking I was going to read it and it was going to have stuff in it. I opened it and I think I bought the wrong thing. I think I bought the Daily Stoic journaling edition, which literally had the same question that you were supposed to answer every single day, and I tore it up and got upset. Now, the Daily Stoic and Ryan's books are fantastic. Let me see. Daily Stoic Journal. I bought the wrong one. I just Googled it. Daily Stoic Journal, 366 Days of Writing and Reflection on the Art of Living. I bought that. I bought the wrong damn thing. I meant to buy like the Daily Stoic or the other book or one of Ryan's other ones. Let me tell you Ryan's other book. The Obstacle is the Way is fantastic. He wrote that thing. Wow, it's 10th anniversary already. It's a really good book. It just opens your eyes to certain things. Well, I bought this journal, and I thought that it was going to be something that I was going to read. And no, every page was, how do you feel today? What do you want to do? I'm like, shut up. And I ripped it up and I tore it up. And the next day I started the Daily Fro, where I just decided to talk about whatever the hell I wanted for the next, I don't know, almost year, 200 some day. Even when I traveled, it kind of upset my ex-girlfriend at the time, or girlfriend at the time, because I would do it at night instead of doing her at night, I guess. I mean, she was asleep by the time I got there because she went to bed early. But I digress. That's not the point here. That's not the point of this at all. The point is to tell you that I'm thankful. No, I'm not thankful. I mean, I'm thankful, but I don't do the I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for no, man, I'm happy I get to do what I do. You know. Anyway, I'm flying solo today without Steven because it's Thanksgiving as always, and usually viewership and watchship and listenership is down, but I had some things that I wanted to talk about. One, I got my high school reunion tomorrow. I've got what gear I'm taking to Kenya, and then I've got a whole bunch of questions for Q&A that you guys submitted over on the text line. So let's start with going to the 25th anniversary, and my 25th high school reunion, 25 years. Not much has changed. It still feels like yesterday, to be honest with you. Do I expect a lot of people to show up? The answer to that question is no. If we have more than 35 people, I will be surprised. People say that maybe 30 will be much more people will be at 30. I know that 20, we didn't even have that many either, because I don't think anything formal was ever put together because nobody took the reins on it. And I think, my dad's like, oh, well, I'm like, Dad, you graduated in 1968 or 69. It was a totally different ball game when you had a 10-year reunion in 1979 and a 20-year reunion in 1989 and a 30-year reunion in 1999 when I was graduating. You didn't have Facebook. You didn't have the internet. So you didn't really keep up with those people. And nowadays you see everything about everybody and you don't really care. But anyway, my goal at the reunion tomorrow is to take this Rode microphone, the clip-on one, and I'll probably hold it in my hand because it's not for video, and I'm going to ask questions of people there that I don't know. Either I know or I don't know, or they knew me or they didn't know me, and we're going to see what they think about me or thought about me. We're going to hear what they have to say. I'm going to be like, this is RAWtalk. You need to be raw. You need to say it like it is. What are some memories of me? Because I kind of forget, or not even forget, but I feel like people don't know me or didn't know me or I was invisible. And that's not really the case, because I get reminded all the time. Like I went and bought ice cream yesterday, and the guy at the ice cream place, and I don't go to ice cream very often, he's like, we have mint chocolate chip today. I'm like, why would you say that? He's like, because months ago you came in and we're looking for mint chocolate chip. I'm like, holy shit, I'm memorable. I have to sneeze. Slight cold. This is like a weird cold because it's not like anything's wrong other than my voice is being throaty at the moment, but I feel fine. It's like totally weird. And I go away on Saturday to Kenya. We filmed the video to talk about what gear I'm taking. I have a little bit more gear than last year because I have 2 friends that are going with me. And there's a lot of people going. Manny Ortiz, Vanessa's going, my friend Katie, my friend Troy, one of our readers, Robert, Matt Dirksen, Cubs photographer, Jason Hanna. He's the Royals photographer, a couple of Royals baseball players, and a couple of other photographers that we all know are going. So there's 12 people this year, which is more than 5 last year, but we'll have 3 vehicles, 4 people in a vehicle, which is pretty good. So I have to take extra gear because I told Troy and Katie, my friends, that they are forbidden from using cell phones to take pictures of animals. So I've been teaching them how to take pictures with real cameras, Canons, and they are going with R3s and 100 to 500s. Those are the cameras they're going to be using. They're going to taste the beast, man. They are going to taste the beast because they don't know the power of the R3. I already dumbed it down to 15 frames a second. You can't dumb it down further. I think you could dumb it down to 3, but it doesn't let you select like 9 or 10. Like I want to shoot at 10. I want them to shoot at 8 frames a second. I don't want them shooting at 15. But it is what it is. I will cull their work. I will go through and I will organize everybody's stuff there from my people, those 2, onto external hard drives, ProGrade Digital. I'm taking the R1 and the R5 Mark II, 400-2.8 Canon, 100 to 300 2.8 Canon. Those are the prime lenses that I will use the majority of the time. I'll have a 28 to 70 f2 in case there's landscapes I want to capture, just nice, beautiful, sharp, beautiful lens. I'll have a 10 to 20, which I'll rarely use, but will be meant for one of those airplane shoots where we're on a little airplane and I want to do some shots there. That and the 28 to 70. And of course, an 85 1.2, just in case the mood strikes and I want to hang it outside of the vehicle. I also am taking a Sony A1 II, which I got in the mail yesterday to go with me, which means I am taking a 400-2.8 Sony as well. Thus why I need a Sherpa, Troy and Katie, to take some of the gear for me. Plus, they're not taking as much gear as me, so I can shove some of the weight onto them because we each get 60 pounds of weight on the planes. And in this case, my bag already weighs 31 in one bag. Troy's bag that I weighed was 20 pounds of gear, so that's because of the 400-2.8 and the 100 to 500. The R3 doesn't weigh very much. And a couple of batteries that I put in the backpack there that I need, and that's it. Like, we should be fine. So I got nuts, I got protein, I got clothes, less clothes than before. I don't wear that much. 2 pairs of pants, Africa pants, my Pranas, and 2 Patagonia button downs. And other than that, just I Shoot Raw t-shirts, underwears, and socks. So that's it. That's what I'm taking to Kenya. And you can follow along on Instagram. I will be doing a podcast there, hopefully, with Vanessa Joy. She and I will be sitting there having a podcast in Kenya together with our Rode microphone that I will plug onto our chests and we will talk into the phone. Well, it records into the phone and then I'll send it back to Steven. Not going to try and do a podcast with Steven this year because it's just, I got Vanessa. We can have a conversation with Vanessa. So the other day I asked you guys for questions. I've got a bunch of them here, almost 2 pages of questions to go through. Let's see how we do. Hopefully we get through them all. I have to get going. I still have to pack some stuff. I still have to pack the gear. I'm here at the studio right now. I've been making thumbnails. I made 6 thumbnails this morning for videos that we recorded. So in case I'm busy and away, Steven has the thumbnails ready to go. All right, let's start off with Meredith Grogan. Question is safety. When I'm in the moment, sometimes I get hyper-focused and lose awareness of what's going on around me. I have gotten injured a couple of times because of this. Any words of wisdom? Psst, no, I don't do stupid shit like stand on active railways. Well, here, Meredith, how about this? Pay the fuck attention. Be aware of your surroundings, situational awareness. Well, I mean, yes, we all get in the zone sometimes and forget basic things like don't stand in the middle of the sidewalk or get out of the way of the running football players. Don't stand where shit's going to happen. You have to have situational awareness. You have to be aware of everything going on around you to be hyper-focused and hyper-aware of what's happening so that you can capture it and also not get injured. You have to pay attention. That's it. I don't know what else to tell you, but just have awareness. Like in a football game, if I'm on the sideline and there's a run coming towards me, I'm fucking bailing. I don't care about the photo. I'm not getting run over. Right? Like basketball, I'm sitting down low. If I get hit, there's nothing I can do, but I'm in the spot to get the shot. But you got to pay attention to your surroundings. Like in basketball, a ball came bouncing out of not out of nowhere, but it was going out of bounds, and the person next to me didn't even move. I had to put my hand out and catch the ball. So I caught the ball to protect him from getting hit in the camera or in the face. So Meredith, just situational awareness. Donnie Bozeman, book 2 is the first photo book I've purchased. What other photo books would you recommend for someone looking for inspiration or to start collecting? Recommendation when it comes to quote unquote collecting. I don't like collecting anything with the idea that, if I buy this, it's going to be worth more money tomorrow. I don't believe in buying first generation books, first run editions. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not a collector because I want to make money. I don't like gambling, and I don't like baseball card chase packs and all of that. And I feel like a lot of things have become gambling. I know you didn't ask me that, but when you're collecting or what type of books, I like looking at the classic photographers. I just ordered 15 books off of Amazon photo books that a friend suggested. She's into photography. She's a professor. And I asked her, what should I buy? And she put up a list of books. And I had a lot of the books that she sent me. But there's Henry Cartier-Bresson. He is a great person to look at. I'm a big fan of Gordon Parks. I love Gordon Parks's books. I have about every one of them that he's ever put out. So let me look up photo books that I've ordered on not Instagram, on what's this thing called? Amazon here. So I love Gordon Parks. Amazing photographer. Neil Leifer, if you like sports, amazing sports photo books. One of the greatest sports photographers in the history of sports. Hey, where are the rest of my photo books, people? Let's see. Lee Miller, those aren't very good. I just bought the Lee Miller book. She was an actress back in the 30s and 40s, and she went and became a photographer. I'm just trying to go through the list of this stuff. Let's see. There's so many books here. I've bought so many books on Amazon. I have probably 300 or 400 books right now on my shelf at home. And I know I say I'm not like a collector. So what is that other guy's name? Oh my God, there's so many. And I can't think of it. And it's not loading right now. Why aren't we loading my books? There's 80 orders for photo books here, but they're not all loading. I know, I'm just trying to fill time. Let's see. I should have probably come up with this before we started this. I mean, Pete Souza's photo books. I bought any of the ones that involve the White House. I like to buy I won't buy the Trump one because he fucked over that photographer, Sheila Cragshead. So I'm not buying that book, but I bought all of the other ones from other photographers. Lost Baseball Parks, no. Photography at the MoMA, that's not a terrible one. 100 Years of Lyco photo book, I guess I bought that. Anything Gordon Parks is incredible. I'm trying to think of what the hell is that other guy's name? I know I'm doing a terrible job here thinking of his name. Anything Jim Marshall. I love Jim Marshall. That's not who I was trying to think of right there. Jim Marshall, his photo books are fantastic. I think Proof is one of the best ones that is out there. The 100 photographs that most influenced images of all time, that's a Time magazine one. That's pretty good. It's not individual photographers. It's a bunch of other photographers. You got Elliot Erwitt. Elliot Erwitt is another great photographer. He's got some great stuff. Dan Winters, is that who that is? No, Martin Scholler. Martin Scholler has some great portraits as well. And I still can't find the one that I want to find right now. What the hell was his name? I got to move on. There's so many. Gregory Heisler is great with portraits. This book by Tim Mantuani, he passed away of cancer, unfortunately. It's called Behind Photography, Archiving Photographic Legends. He did it all with the 20 by 24 inch Polaroid, the big one, and he basically took famous photographers and they were holding their famous photographs that they're known for, and he took a picture of them. Yeah, the cheapest one's $183 because it's out of print, but it is one of my favorite books that I've ever picked up. So if you can get that book, I do highly recommend you find it and pick it up. I'm going to look at one more page here, and then I'll move on because I want to see. Oh, yes, Vivian Mayer, the first one, the Vivian Mayer Street Photographer, is a really good photojournalistic book. There's so much in that one. Arnold Newman, that's what I was looking for. There's, of course, Annie Leibovitz, but Arnold Newman, I love Arnold Newman's photojournalistic stuff. So that's it. I find inspiration in photo books. People always ask what happens when you get down. How do you get your inspiration back in photography? And the answer to that is simple. I simply look at the history of photography, and I feel much better. But thank you for purchasing book 2. If you'd like to pre-order book 2, there's 20 days left as the time of recording this. We're almost at 200% of my 200% of my goal. Unfortunately, I think I had it run a little too long. I had a few people cancel, which isn't great because they cancel and then because you don't pay until they shut it down. So please don't cancel. 20 more days, you'll get charged for it, and for the pre-sale because. Then I go to, well, it's in printing right now. It should be going to print in the next few weeks. I'm waiting on a sample print from the machine that's coming tomorrow. That's just one page, and that's coming hopefully before I go away and leave for Kenya. So if you want to pick it up, go to bit.ly/FroBook2 to do that. Michael Gonzalez, I'm planning teaching some kids at my son's small school the art of photography. They are 5-year-old-ish. I find myself challenged in where to start. Do I start with composition and what makes a good photo, or begin with the technical basics like shutter, ISO, etc.? This is a smaller nonprofit Catholic school. I just want to add something new to their curriculum. If they're 5 years old, you hand them something, you say, go take pictures. You don't worry about anything else. So what you do is you hand them the most basic camera, could be a cell phone, and they go and they take pictures. And then if you're looking at them, you sit there and you're like, oh, that was awesome. How about you try this next time? Do not even try to talk about shutter speed, ISO, aperture, or composition. Let them photograph, let them shoot. And like if a kid is sitting on the ground, you're like, hey, why don't you try laying on the ground and see how cool of a photo that looks if you do this, right? So it's just the most basic. You're not teaching. I mean, it's Montessori stuff, which is learning by doing. I went to Montessori school. They didn't have photography back then when I was in school, but that's what you should do. You shouldn't try teaching them anything other than just subtle little tips. Oh, why don't you use this or do this in the foreground? Thomas Desert. If YouTube changed business models and no longer shared revenue, how would you pivot your business moving forward? That's a great question. There's not much pivoting needed because YouTube, we do not generate as much revenue on YouTube as we used to. It's all based on views. So if you're a Mr. Beast or a big channel that gets 10 million views a month, you're going to make a lot of money off of ad revenue. We make our majority of ad revenue or our majority of revenue from selling presets and advertisers that we get, sponsors and advertisers and sponsorship deals. That's where we get our money. Let me go here. I'm going to look at estimated revenue for the last 365 days. I'm going to guess 87,262, and it says $86,460.19. We used to do like 120,000. It all depends on ad rates, right? So this isn't terrible, right? I mean, it's better than a kick in the ass just for running ads. I also don't run mid-roll ads like other people do. So I don't do mid-roll ads, which is fine. I don't really need to. Let me click on full revenue and see how this breaks down because most people won't share this. $86,460.19 in the last 365 days. Oh, wow. They give us so much in the way of analytics. Playback CPM. So cost per per thousand is $14.10. So for every 1,000 views, I get roughly $14.10. So you could see how it adds up that you could make a lot of money on videos. The video that made the most, it looks like, in the last 365 days is the Canon RF 200 to 800 review, the ultimate budget lens, made $1,824.31. The Canon R6 Mark II user guide, wow, that one made $1,546 last year. The EOS R1 preview made $1,130. So you can see that these videos, the more videos you do, obviously the more money you can generate if you get more views. Now, other people that are getting massive views per video, like 800,000 to 1 million, when a video gets 1 million views up front quickly, you're going to make $6,000 to $10,000 depending on the CPM. If you have a 14 CPM, you could be making $14,000. It all depends on your CPM. Financial industry CPMs, say 5 years ago during the pandemic, we're getting like $40 CPMs. That's 3.5 times more than what I was getting or am getting. It's insane. So we wouldn't change very much. We would focus on our own products. We would only take an $86,000 hit. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a ton of our revenue because we have other revenue areas. Now, if I was getting twice as many views and I was making almost 200,000 on there, that would be awesome. The goal would be to get more views. But right now, our goal is to sell product, presets, make my next video guide, and that will generate the revenue. Of course, if I had more views, everything grows exponentially. You know, if I doubled my views, would I make double the sales of presets? If I had double of the new viewers, then the answer to that is yes. So great question. That's not a shitty question. That's a good question. Next, thanks, Thomas. Shane Hall, what does a person need to do to get noticed with their work to grow their business? The reason I ask is I live in a small town out in the country. It's so saturated with people that call themselves photographers. Thanks and happy Thanksgiving. I mean, we get this all the time. You have to find a way to stand out above everybody else. And not even above everybody else, but away from everybody else. So what does a person need to do to get noticed? You need to get out there and shoot. People need to know you. They need to see you. Sometimes the best photographers aren't the ones that get the jobs. Sometimes the worst photographers, who are really bad, get the gig because they're good schmoozers. They're good business people. People just like them. So you have to find a way to get out there. Put yourself out there to be successful. Go shoot something for fun. I do not believe in the do not shoot for free adage that was put out there many years ago. You have to be selective. There's a certain reason you would shoot for free, and there's a certain reason you wouldn't. If someone's just trying to use you and it won't benefit you in the long run, in one way or the other, like a good contact. Not that contacts pay the bills or put food on the table, but someday they might. For example, my 6 Degrees project has led to meeting so many amazing people that are great connections, and it's led to covers of photo books, not photo books, but covers of books about these people, back covers, other jobs that ended up paying me money that just happened because I put myself out there. My 4x5 project, you never know where that's going to lead, right? So that can lead to other paying jobs. So find personal projects. And if that's going and photographing every restaurant in your small town, if that's going and doing a portrait shoot of every business owner, if that's going and photographing every veteran of a war, every senior citizen, every dog, every pet, go photograph every pet for free. Because guess what every pet has? Not every pet. They have owners. Guess what owners have? Kids, need for portraits, family portraits. Put yourself out there. Go and do a photo of every senior citizen. Offer that. I am doing a photo of every senior citizen in my town. I want to hear their story. I want to share it. And then set up an Instagram just for that. It doesn't need to go beyond 1,000 people. Who cares? If it gets 1,000 people paying attention, it's 1,000 local people that matter. That's some really good advice, Jared. Thank you for sharing that advice. That's awesome advice. I really think that's good advice. Okay, Shane, that's what I have to say. Sean Eliason. I have old gear, but I have never felt stifled by it. The one barrier that I do feel trapped by is my old computer. Any suggestions for a computer-poor photographer, meaning he can't run the new programs? I mean, this is a good question, Sean. There are so many inexpensive computers this day and age. That was terrible, Jared, but there's a lot of cheap, inexpensive computers. I obviously I like using Apple, and if you're going to buy inexpensive, I suggest that you buy an inexpensive Apple. Now, I don't know what your budgets are. I don't know if it's $100, $200, $300, $400. So I don't know. Let's see. What does Best Buy have for inexpensive computers? Let's see. Cheap computers. Laptops and computers. Let's see. Do they have pricing from cheapest? Oh, okay. Here's a Lenovo Flex 5 Chromebook plus laptop with Google AI. It's $349. Maybe that's a little too expensive and we want something a little better. But if you're going to spend like $700 on a shitty PC laptop, you might as well spend some money and buy a refurbed Apple something. Like here's Apple MacBook Air 13-inch Apple M2 chip with Apple Intelligence. Fuck Apple Intelligence. It sucks. There's really inexpensive computers. But remember, a really shitty computer is probably not going to last that long. Let me go to the Apple refurbished store and see what they have right now. I'm a big fan of Apple refurbished. Certified refurbished. Let's look at Macs. Let's just look at, Mac Mini. $559 for an old Mac Mini. Nah. Like if you want just one thing, a MacBook Pro. Let's see how inexpensive a Mac Pro, iMacs are super cheap. iMacs would be the ones that I would get. How inexpensive is an iMac? Well, refurb $969, but I bet you it can go even further than that. I'm going to reset this. Let's look up iMacs. Price, low to high. Well, the cheapest they have is $969 right now. I know that could be a little bit too expensive, but an iMac is going to be one of those computers that's going to last you a really long time and will continue to work with most of the applications for a while. That's what I would look into, even if you bought a used iMac from someone. Not just the refurbs that are in the store, but a $400 or $500 iMac from a year or two ago is still going to be great. So that's what I would do. Patrick Olson, will there be a Fro Edition Subaru Outback soon? With rainbows, maybe. Excuse me. No, probably no Subaru Outback anytime soon. Peter Bravado. Hey, Jared, here's my question for RAWtalk. Photography has come a long way since the 1800s. Where do you see photography going in the next 10 or more years? Void any AI generative answers. I'm looking in line with technique in cameras and hardwares. The great thing is that in photography, the fundamentals and basics never change. Composition, theories, and principles never change. The basic and fundamentals of shutter speed, aperture, and ISO all are the same today as they were 240 years ago, or whenever 1832, whenever the first photograph was taken by Nepis or whatever his name was. I think so, right? Or a daguerreotype or Daguerre. I think it was Nepis, right? Let's get out the Google here. Who took the first photo? And I'm going to say it was 1832. Joseph Nepis, it was 1826. I was close. Hundreds of years in advancements. And yeah, Joseph Nepis, I remember he took a picture out of his window in Paris in 1826. Think of that. Holy shit. That's only 200 years. 1826, 1926, 2026. We're coming up on only 200 years of photography, and look at how far we've come. It's incredible to think what photography can do today. So with the fundamentals and basics, shutter speed, aperture, and ISO never change. What happens is the technology changes to ISO to allow us to shoot at higher apertures and get cleaner higher ISOs and get cleaner shots. Not that we want to shoot much higher. Glass technology changes, which allows us to have faster, less expensive, faster glass, which allows us to shoot differently. Pre-shooting happens, which allows us to capture moments we couldn't capture before. But the fundamentals never change. I think we're going to get to a point where 120 frames per second continuous shooting is going to be the norm, and we are going to go through and have to pluck out the best images. That's just where we're going to live. But the fundamentals never change. Remember that. Mike Frankfurt. Are you going to bring your 4x5 on safari? Why or why not? That is a great question. The answer to that is no. I'm not taking the 4x5 on the safari, though it got me thinking like, geez, should I take the 4x5? I got no room. Here's what I will say is if I was on a safari with me and Steven, or if it was just designed for me to try and take a 4x5 into the wilderness and see what I can accomplish with it, then I need more time. It needs to be someone who understands that I need more time than just being able to take 120 frames a second digitally, 40 frames a second with the R1, whatever, pre-capture, and shoot quick and capture these moments. I would have to think about how to shoot differently. But I think it's a great challenge. I think I should honestly take it to Paris. Damn it. I think I should take it to Paris. Shit. Fuck. Why'd I just come up with that idea? Jared's going to make a note. Take 4x5 to Paris. Isn't it funny, the anti-film guy, me, shooting film, but I defend myself by saying I'm not shooting 35. I'm shooting 4x5. How many people out there are picking up 4x5s and processing their own negatives and taking that camera elsewhere? I think I might take it to Paris. And take portraits of people or the Eiffel Tower a certain way. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Fuck it. Maybe in January. You know what's funny is DxO, those people who make the DxO software, invited me to Paris. They want to pay for a trip because they want to show me their software. And I'm not a big fan of standalone softwares outside of Lightroom or noise reduction. But I told them all this and they still want to invite me there. Maybe I'll take them up on it in January. I'm making a note of that for when I get back from my trip. Because I got other notes on here. Oh, fund a photographer in Kenya. That's a note here. I threw in 2 bodies and 2 lenses extra. I didn't say that I was taking, so that I can give them to our guides. Last time we were there, these guys love photography. There were some of them that are really into photography. They don't own any gear. So I put in 2, it's much easier for me to take 5D Mark IVs than 1DX Mark IIIs, but I put 2 5D Mark IVs in. I put 2 100 to 400s. There's battery for each and a charger for each, and I put a pro grade 128 gig SD card into the camera. So I'm going to be giving 2 of the guides cameras to keep from Fund a Photographer. That way these guys can take it out on safari and do their own photos. So that's going to be fun. What else do I need to do? Oh, I need to download books and podcasts. Oh, shit. I wanted to give a camera to my niece. Fuck. I gotta get that before I go. She wants to shoot video, so I'm going to give her an EOS R to start learning video on. Oh, okay. I got to do that before I go. And I should already be there at Thanksgiving, but I'm not. I'm here. And I haven't even packed my gear yet. I may have to come back here after dinner and work, because I have to take Kitty somewhere tomorrow, and then I have to go away. Well, I got Saturday, but I want to come back here later tonight. That's what I'll do. I just got to focus. I wanted to get this podcast done for you guys. It's therapeutic for me to talk. That's my answer, Mike. Joseph Murad, any suggestions on how to avoid focusing on gear and just focusing on photography? Yeah, focus on photography and not gear. Just like the 4x5, I am forced and limited to go out and shoot. The best thing you can do is limit yourself to a basic and fundamental. Meaning, if you've got a 51.8, limit yourself to only use that 51.8. If you have a zoom, a 24-70 or whatever your zoom is, force yourself to shoot it at only 35 millimeters for the day. You got to come up with challenges for yourself so that you don't focus on gear, you focus on the final product and the photos. Because I say it all the time, as much as I talk about gear and how much I'm taking to where I'm going, I'm a professional. I get the best results out of the best gear. I also get the best results out of not the best gear. So no one's going to be like, oh, you got that winning photo. What did you shoot that with? I mean, they'll ask that, but it doesn't matter if you got the winning photo. That's all that matters. Nathaniel Ray, real question. If you're on a city trip, like let's say Northern Italy, what's your go-to lens? Question mark. 50 millimeter? Question mark. Just to capture the essence. 28 to 70 f2 is my go-to lens for the Canon. That lens I took to Paris and just used that to do everything. I also have taken a 35-1.4 back in the day when I was shooting the D850 Nikon to Paris and forced myself to just go around the city with that. It's whatever you have, right? Use that. Take that lens and force yourself to see the world through that lens. That will capture the essence. I think that even tight lenses can, like zooms, but challenge yourself. No matter what you have, you can capture the essence. Brian Steffen, 2 questions. Oh, fuck you, 2 questions. I'm a hobbyist and took a big step up a few years ago, upgrading from an old crop sensor to full-frame Nikon Z5. Good little camera. I have a limited budget for new glass. As I look to add quality glass, do I buy used F-mount 2.8 or better, or save up longer until I can get good native 2.8 or better S-line glass? 2, which plays better with the ladies? Oh, I'll get to that in a second. I think with what you're shooting, adapted F-mount glass for inexpensive is a great option to save a lot of money, especially if you're sticking with Nikon. Yes, S-line glass is going to be better, but if it's twice as much and you can find some inexpensive used 14 to 24s, 24 to 70 2.8s, 50 1.4s, whatever, 85 1.4s, 105 1.4, those lenses, adapt them, save the money. Question 2, which plays better with the ladies, the hair, the massive arms and tight ass, or the 6 buildings? It's 5 buildings, by the way, and multiple Porsches. It's 0 Porsches. Just kidding. Can't wait to follow along on your next Kenya trip. Have fun. My friends have all been talking about Porsches. I don't know, maybe one day. I just don't drive cars. I don't really care about them. Randy Habel, I'm sure there is no quick, easy answer, explanation, but here goes. I'm pushing 75 and looking to supplement my income. I feel I am a good landscape photographer and would love some of your insight on possible ways to get my work in front of people and sell my images. I'm not looking for the easy way, but an honest approach to getting my foot in the door. This is very tough because I'm not 75 and I don't know what it takes. I have to think about what my dad would do. But let's surmise that you're not poor and you have the ability, you have some money, not a ton, but you can go do things. Let's say you have friends that own businesses and you like to do landscapes. Where do these friends live around the world that you can go visit and take stuff in their areas? What friends have businesses that need photos in their restaurant, their offices? Find people that own these businesses that you know. You have 75 years of connections that you've built up. Use them. Which friends of yours are business owners? Which friends of yours travel a lot that maybe don't have great photos, or where their favorite place is? In your local town, you can go and photograph the local scene, landscapes that might exist within an hour or 2 of where you live, and get in touch with the local organizations and maybe give them some of the photos, but that gets you connections to other people and might open doors. Find restaurants that friends own. And maybe it's an Italian place and you travel to Italy and you take photos and then they buy them for you. Buy them from you. That's what I would do. You have 75 years of connections. There's business, there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's business people, entrepreneurs, athlete. Whoever you know probably has a business. They probably have a business. You said he sold a few friends, even sold one from a gallery contest. What would be your recommendation approach to get started? Thank you for your time, Randy. Yeah, that's what I would do, Randy. Talk to your friends. See who needs just art for their walls. They have budgets for that. Nathaniel Krickenberger, can you please explain the difference between a snapshot and a photograph? Is it in intent, artistic execution, and vision? What is the best way to start marketing my services? I've considered offering free shoots for my coworkers and family so that I have something to build a portfolio. I already have a website showing my photos, and I post to Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and X, formerly known as Twitter. I think I answered that last part of the question already up above with things that you can do to make connections and get your work out there. And of course, the question just before this. But what's the difference between a snapshot and a photograph? A snapshot is something that doesn't stop you in your tracks, and a photograph stops you in your tracks. When you're going and you're editing images, or you're looking at photos and you're clicking through quickly, and all of a sudden you stop because the image makes you think, or you're like, oh, fuck, this is great. That's a photograph. A photograph stands out. A snapshot looks like every other piece of shit garbage that everybody else takes. Amy Randolph, We moved from film to digital to mirrorless. With the growth of AI, do you think that will influence the next steps move in photography? I know that editing with AI is growing. Just wondering what your thoughts were. Yeah, 100%. Of course, AI is going to help us with photography. AI, not the generative fill stuff. I'm not talking about that. I mean, it's incredible. I've taken people out of photos at requests from a subject, and it's insane that you can replace them, remove them, and the background's replaced perfectly, and you can't tell the difference. That's an incredible thing. And computational photography will continue to help us get better. So yeah, I'm running out of steam right now, guys. I'm running out of steam. Let me get here. Lyle Turner. Good afternoon, Jared. Since you just put out orders for your second photo book, what are your top tips for a beginner looking to design and publish their first photo book? Should I focus more on storytelling, image selection, or production quality? And how do I ensure it resonates with an audience? Is there an optimal number of pages, or just run it till you run out of photos? There's a simple answer to this, and I don't mean to be a dick, but this was an answer that I was given before I had Frono's Photo, before I had anything. I said I wanted to make a book like 6 Degrees before I had a following. And my friend at the time said, who's going to buy it? You don't have a following. I went and got a following, and now people buy my stuff. So you can make whatever you want, but if no one is there to buy it, just like when people say, I want to start a podcast, I'm like, great, start a podcast, but who's going to listen? Podcasts aren't discoverable like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. They're not getting served your podcast. They have to find it. So unless you have someone or a following to sell your stuff to, it's very difficult. So the answer is find a following. And it doesn't have to be big. If you have 500 people that are dedicated to following you after a while, that you've built up a little bit of a following like that, that's a win. You have 100 people paying attention to what you're doing. That's a win. This isn't a build it and they will come. You need to build it first, and then you can sell it. And I'm not trying to say don't create a book. I'm saying who's going to buy it? If you can answer that question, then by far you make a book that feels right to you. What can you afford to do? The difference between quality. Hold on. My nose is not, it's not running. I'm just getting some phlegm. You need to decide where the book ends. You're in control of it. So that's what I have to say. Stephen Smith, how do you set your prices on the photos you print and sell? I make it up. What is my time worth? What's my value? What do I want to sell for? What do I think is fair and reasonable to my fan base? It's different for different fan bases, right? You have a wealthy fan base and you're established. You could charge $1 million if you want. If you're not established, it's much harder. But base it off of what is your time worth. Oh, fuck. I need water, but I don't want to stop. Don Myers. If you're giving photos to a nonprofit group, should you also have them sign a licensing agreement on how the photos will be used? Interesting question. Hold on. I'm going to get water. Here. Sing to yourself. Mary had a little lamb real fast. I'll start. Mary had a little lamb. Her fleece was white as snow. Ringle bells, jingle bells. I'm back with water now. I also have to get going to my brother's. So what do you do, Don? It's a good question with a nonprofit. I mean, nonprofits don't mean they don't make money. That means that they have to spend all the money they make. And their goal, remember what a nonprofit does. They beg for money from everybody. So it's got to benefit you a little bit. If they're using your images to raise money, to sell, to pay their fucking salary, right? Because nonprofits, people get paid to work there, then you need to get paid too at some point. With that being said, if you do donate an image, you dictate how it can be used. Hi, I'm willing to allow you to use this picture for online usage only. If you'd like to do anything out beyond that, you're more than welcome to pay me some money. So You just got to pick and choose. Do I have them sign a licensing agreement? No. I make sure in the email it states, here's how you can use the images. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. Or in some situations, if it's a true, really good cause, it's like, here, use these pictures. And it maybe can benefit you down the road. Try to get access to photograph their galas, right? Try to get access to the gala because there's people that donate money. They have money. Carlo Ruano. Hi, Jared. I was curious about what your first exposure into photography was like. Who were the pivotal people, and what things about it initially inspired you to pursue photography seriously? My mom always took pictures. She had a point and shoot camera. She had one of these Canon one-step instant, was awesome little Canon with a pop-up flash that I loved playing with. I used to just take pictures just to see the flash go off. Then she had her Fuji Discovery 2000 or 1000 camera. So I guess that inspired me. But the biggest inspiration was other people that I thought sucked as photographers that were 13 in junior high school that I thought were doing a terrible job, and I thought I could do better. So I did. But early on, I didn't really have mentors. This was 1994. So one of the early people that I got advice from was the guy that worked at Larmont Photo around the corner. My mom would drop me off. I would drop off the film, and this guy would give me advice he worked at the camera store. I don't know. That was the first time that I had advice. I just remember the smell of that store, like a good smell, like chemical smell, but a good chemical smell. After that, it was Mid-City Camera, where there was this guy, Matt Chow, who took me under his wing and would yell at me if I tried to buy the wrong lens and make me return it. He made me return a 24 to 120. He's like, wrong, bad piece of shit lens. Do not buy that. And he was right. You need people to tell you just because it's a massive zoom doesn't mean it's a good lens. So, that was my first exposure, and those were the people that helped me early on. 2, 3 more. Alex McGregor. What do you think of working for companies like Virtuance and True Place? Never heard of them. They're basically the Uber of real estate photography. The photographer makes less money, but has way less hassle in finding clients and delivering packages. Fuck that. Fuck you. My answer to that is fuck that. Go find realtors to photograph. The Uber of photography is still bullshit. I don't believe in any of those things. You want people to hire you for your work. You don't want people to hire you because they want someone to take a picture and press a button. If they're just looking for a commodity, someone to press a button, they don't care about your work. They just want someone to quote unquote capture the day. And they're probably going to be assholes about it too, because they're paying a little bit of amount. They're really cheap hiring someone. And yeah, maybe they don't know where to turn for a photographer, but no great photographer in their right mind is taking these Uber of photography jobs. You want to get jobs doing real estate or something, finding client, you got to find your own clients, make all the money. I don't agree with that one. Frankie Money. Hey, speaking of money, what are your thoughts on shutter and aperture priority modes or auto ISO for professional photographers shooting events like weddings? If you don't know how to control your own fucking camera and you're getting paid to shoot a wedding, I want to tell you to throw your camera out. Or I want to say you're not in the right place, or you need to work more at getting out of auto. I've softened on auto ISO for beginners, because I tell them, set the camera to auto ISO. Set your aperture to the widest aperture. Let's say they have a 2.8 lens. They're only shooting at 2.8. 2 things are set for them. This is basically basically manual, but it's manual with auto ISO. You just have to set the shutter speed fast or slow. Doesn't mean that the ISO is going to be perfect every time. It's going to get thrown off by the white dress or the black tuxedo. So you have to keep an eye on that ISO still and control your shutter speed accordingly. But if you don't know that stuff, I didn't know that stuff for 15 plus years. I was an aperture priority and I was doing jobs, but I wasn't good. So you just got to you just got to figure it out. I don't think you should be in shutter or aperture priority ever. You want to know why at this point, as a professional or even amateurs? Look at your fucking mirrorless camera. You put your eye up to it. You put your eye up to the mirrorless camera, and what happens? You see the results before you even take the picture. If you can't get your exposure right today, I don't know what to tell you. Daniel Hickey, do I sell my 200 to 800 Canon to buy a 100 to 500? Well, the 100 to 500 is going to be better quality. It's an f7.1. It's smaller. It's lighter. I think the 200 to 800 is overkill. I think it's one of those lenses that, I mean, birders and people that aren't real full-on photographers, not real on, you can get great results with anything if you know what you're doing. With that thing's an f11, f10 or f9 zoomed all the way out. It is a unbalanced, massive lens, and I'm not taking it to Kenya this year. And I didn't want to give it to my friends because 400 millimeters is enough. They're getting a little extra with 500, and that's perfect for being out on safari. 600, not necessary for where we're going. As I've said before, when someone complained and said, you should be taking a 600. I don't need it, didn't need it, rather take other stuff. It depends. If you find that lens isn't working for you, a 100 to 500 is easier to carry around. Between the two lenses, I take a 100 to 500 over a 200 to 800 personally. If we're getting into the pro world, it's a different story. I gotta wrap up. I gotta go do these things I need to go do. I want to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving if that's a thing. I'm not really a Thanksgiving person. I don't like turkey. I don't like any of that shit. What time is it? My brother's gonna be. Is he gonna be upset? Did I get a text yet? No. Nope, didn't get a text, but I'll be leaving here soon. I want to get that camera for my niece to give to her for her birthday coming up so that she can learn to shoot video. Unfortunately, I have to teach her. I don't know if I have patience. I don't have kids yet that I know of, that I hope I don't have yet, because that would suck if I had kids. And then, I mean, I really won't, based on the precautions that I take, which is too much information for most of you. But, you know, I hope it doesn't exist, you know, because that would be very damaging. If someone's like, hey, here's your 15-year-old. You're like, well, I missed your whole life. Fuck, this sucks. That would be pretty painful. Okay. Next one should be from Kenya, guys, I think. Thank you very much for listening. Jared Polin, FronosPhoto.com. See ya.